Hey guys, Spidey here for another video. So, the Cobb tuning situation, I've seen a few other people make videos on it. Figure I'd jump on the wagon also. So, in that sense, need to make a few facts, maybe a few discussions, and then see if you guys want to do something. So, first off, Cobb was told by the EPA that basically they can no longer do emissions deletes, which is something I saw coming from a mile away when the EPA first got something up its ass about a year ago. Well, essentially, Cobb can no longer sell or tune any emissions-related deletes or flex fuel. Flex fuel is an emissions thing. They cannot do EGR deletes, catalyst deletes, exhaust gas temperature deletes. I think it's called a tumbler valve delete, which I have never fucking heard of. Evap deletes, which I did not know was a thing. So, few facts. If you have already been tuned with those said deletes, and you don't need a retune, like the car runs great, this does not concern you. You don't need to worry about it whatsoever. Now, if you need to go get a retune and you have all those deletes on, then they can tune you, but you're gonna have a check engine light on, because they cannot mess with any of the emissions related shit. Now, if you need to get tuned and you already have all that emissions stuff on, like your emissions have not been defeated at all, then you're gonna be fine. You'll make a little less power than other people, but you will be fine. So the Cobb has been affected. I imagine in about a year's time, Ecutech will be affected, and then UpRev probably will be also, which means I need to get the Sentra tuned soon, which is something I wanted to do anyways. Right now the car is about to get new tires, which I'll make a video on that. So EPA situation, I personally feel as if it was pretty shitty of Cobb to continue the sell of emissions defeating devices and tuning them when they knew that they couldn't tune them after a specified date. If that's the case, then I think that's actually pretty shitty of them to do. But if it was really an all of a sudden thing and they just have not had time to update their websites, then that's understandable. But if the former is true, then that's an extremely shitty thing for them to do. A question I have for Cobb is, those of us that live in non-emissions counties, or those of us that live in countries that don't have those same emissions laws of which the EPA is concerned about, what about them? I mean, obviously it's not the easiest thing in the world for us to register our cars in non-emissions counties so we can get those tunes. It's still a thing that we could do. People who live in countries that don't have to worry about that emission stuff, I can't really name one off the top of my head, but it was something that someone in the comments did mention. Why do they have to be punished? Or just, why does that have to happen to them? Like, they had nothing to do with us, if you get what I'm trying to say. It's not fair to not allow them to get the tune that their own government says is okay, just because we can't have it. That seems fucked up to me, but personal opinion. I did read on Cobb's website that they are trying to make another map just for flex fuel. So instead of flex fuel being part of the main tune, to where the sensor automatically calibrates in correlation to the ethanol content that it's sensing, it's going to be a completely separate map now, and it's going to be a carb-friendly map. That is what they were trying to do. So, cool. They're trying to allow us to still use flex fuel, because obviously it's a pretty nice thing. So, I don't think Cobb's the evil in this situation. It's the EPA wanting money. They've been trying to do this since the 1970s or something that I believe. So I knew this was going to happen eventually. We just all wish it didn't happen like now. So what can you guys do to help? You've probably heard of the RPM Act before. The RPM Act is in response to the EPA's new reinterpretation of what they said. So basically, being like that X you hated, where they would say one thing and then say a completely other thing later that was supposed to mean what they said before. Well, basically, EPA said that you cannot take a street car and turn it into a race car. The RPM Act is trying to combat that and say, no, the law is what you guys said previously. And let's go have a look at that now. So you can see this here is the Recognition of Protection of Motorsports Act, aka the RPM Act. So the Clean Air Act back in the 1970s was created by the EPA to tell manufacturers, hey, make your cars run cleaner. So thus came the invention of catalytic converters and EGR valves. Now they're saying that their interpretation of it this entire time, because they didn't think to say anything, for 50 fucking years, was, oh, by the way, not even race cars have to be emissions compliant, which is something they never mentioned before, and is also something that is really, really, really freaking hard to do. So here you can see street vehicles cannot be converted into race cars according to the EPA. The EPA has announced the enforcement against high performance parts. So you can click here to support the RPM Act. It only takes a few minutes. And this is something I've actually signed twice in the past before, because I'm trying to protect not only motorsports, but my hobby in of itself. The bill clarifies that it is legal to make emissions-related changes to a street vehicle for the purpose of converting it into a race car used exclusively in competition. It also confirms that it is legal to produce, market, and install racing equipment. So right here, like what's happening to Cobb. Cobb is no longer allowed to sell flex fuel kits or emissions defeating devices. The bill is not saying that we should be able to defeat emissions devices on everyday vehicles. Like it says in the title, it's to protect motorsports, which are being targeted, as ultimately all these high performance parts isn't made for the general consumer. It's made for someone that is interested in motorsports, which honestly I think every car guy is to an extent. So let's see. Manufacturing here. Manufacturing, selling, and installing race parts for the converted vehicle will be a violation according to the EPA. They've also announced the enforcement against high performance parts. Yeah, they're probably going to hate my cold air intake. Converting street cars into dedicated race cars is an American tradition going back decades and has a negligible impact on the environment. If you think about it, all these jets we have that pollute, all these factories we have that pollute, all these devices that we have mining the precious metals used to create the electric batteries that the government so badly is pushing towards, those pollute a hell of a lot more than, let's see, the 10% of sports cars that are sold by manufacturers, and the even fewer percentage of those sports cars that actually have their emission systems depleted. I would say that that has much less of an environmental impact than the EPA's private jets. So I highly, highly, highly encourage you to support the RPM Act. This is from SEMA. Your support will help us defend your automotive rights whenever you're under attack. EPA overreach, electric vehicle mandates, banning off-roading, and your right to modify your vehicle are all on the agenda. 12 states, including California, went to ban new gas-powered vehicles, which Cali's a bitch. Off-roading recreation trails have been eliminated, which is a big, big blow to some people. Cracking down on your cars or trucks noise, which, to be completely honest, your Subaru STI, that sounds like a damn machine gun at 2 in the morning. I get annoyed with that also. In some parts of the country, you no longer have the freedom to change your own oil in your own garage, which I think is bullshit. So I encourage you to sign the RPM Act and to join the fight with SEMA, of which I have already done. To me, modifying cars in a non-emissions related way is really or should be no different than modifying a gun, because I don't know jack shit about guns, but I have heard of people modifying guns to work better or just operate in a different way. Personal property. So I personally don't see an issue in enthusiasts customizing or modifying their personal property to look, do, or sound the way of which they want. The EPA just wants money because, the government doesn't have enough money, but they could pull a few trillion out of their ass, though. So if you can't support the RPM Act for cars, then at least perhaps support it for what cars means to a lot of people. I did not have any friends when I was younger. I was the outcast. I was the guy that was made fun of because I was the stupid kid that liked cars way too damn much. But through cars, I met a lot of people and I made friends that I'm pretty happy to say I'm pretty sure I'm going to have for the rest of my life. So cars just means so much more to me. And I think a lot of other people for that reason. The people you've met along the way of being an enthusiast and the people you're going to meet later on as one, in my opinion, are some of the best people you will ever fucking meet. So the only way we're going to be able to combat the EPA on this is to support the RPM Act. And SEMA says you can support them also by becoming a member just to protect the hobby. I'll put a link to that in the description too. And I am going to sign up for them. And I will make a post on my Instagram showing that I did. My Instagram is the same as my YouTube channel, SpideySpecV. So help us fight the EPA. I think they are actually being nice by allowing us to continue to tune cars and make power out of them. They're just not allowing us to do emission stuff, which I think is actually extremely fair. Just wish they would have given Cobb a lot more fucking notice than they did before. But I guess if you want catalytic converters to stop being chopped off, then you kind of have to make it abrupt, I guess you could say. But that's all I got for now. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I don't know if you guys like my videos unless you like them. So I will see you in the next one. Thank you. Peace.